Salute, Nick family. Welcome to the Queen's Court, part of the MBK fam. Of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button so you'll be notified anytime a video or live show goes live on this channel. Keep in mind the season is coming up, so I'm Simeon Russell, the creator of this channel. Pre-game, post-game, the morning shoot around, and newly announced the return of the Coach's Corner will be back this season. So be sure to watch out for that. Today, training camp starts, I believe, September 27th, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken. So today we're talking training camp battles, shooting guard, or at all positions, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward. Is there going to be a minute share at shooting guard and center? We're going to get into that today. Let me bring in the panel. I'm joined today by none other than Simeon Russell, again, creator of Nothing But Knicks. Tony Crow, Knicks and Bruises, again. Um, a shout out for getting 1,000 subscribers. DJ Shuttle is in the house. He'll talk to you also about his channel, and resident panelist from Dope Soul Sports Talk channel I created, Stafford Don. Appreciate you guys for being here. How's everyone doing?
Doing good, feeling good, man. I feel good.
Peace, Queen.
Peace.
Another all-star panel.
Yeah. We about to get into it. Today, DJ Shuttle, how you doing?
Amazing. Had a great weekend. And as we count down to training camp and the start of this season, can't wait to get it cooking.
Yeah, definitely. Staffer?
I'm blessed to be always on the show, man. Shout out to the Godfather, TC, DJ Shuttle, Queen, the chat. Let's get it in.
Yeah. I mean, so let's get right into it. We got 5 positions to go over. When it comes to the point guard, I think we would all agree that there isn't a battle for the starting point guard spot, right? I think we would all agree that Brunson has that. He's going to play, in my opinion, at least 34 minutes, could even be 36. But for that backup point guard position, I think there will be a battle. Will that be IQ? Will that be Rose? I don't think McBride will be in that position battle, but if somebody feels differently, be sure to bring it up. And I don't think Ryan A, who was just signed, I don't think he's going to be in that position battle either. I think if we see Ryan A or McBride, the season has taken a turn for the worse. But let's get into it, for backup point guard. And shout out to the chat. Appreciate y'all rocking with us today. Who's backing up Brunson? Sim?
Sheesh. Who's backing up Brunson? I mean, I think it's IQ.
Okay.
I think it's IQ that's backing up Brunson. I know there's a lot of people that are going to say Derrick Rose, and that I think it's going to be IQ. I think that he's going to get a much bigger role this year. Part of that is going to be backing him up at the point guard spot. It doesn't mean that he's going to be your traditional point guard that's, facilitating and doing that. I think, he's going to play the point guard role his style, his way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's going to be IQ.
Okay. Tony, we'll just go around.
I agree. I'm gonna go IQ. I think that's again what we've seen from him all year. I'm sorry, all off season. As far as his workouts, as far as his summer league tournaments or whatever. So I think he continues to play that role and kind of excel in it and grow in it.
All right. I mean, we got some early descent. Shout out to Senga Waldron. Wow, push Deuce off the table right out the gate. Rose has no future on this team. When do we move on when he's in pieces? Now, listen, we'll continue to go around, but even with Rose not starting, I still don't think McBride is an option in that 10-man rotation. But Stafford, who do you think is backing up Brunson, and why?
You know what? I gotta agree with the panel also too. I'd have to go with IQ. Just based on his last 10 games of the season last year, three triple doubles. Um, his, as Tony said also too, his summer league tournaments that he's looked very good, got stronger. I think Sim also told me he met him in person. He got a little stronger. He put on a little weight. So you know, I look forward for him to be having an expanded role also too, behind Jalen Brunson. You know, I think he will be the sixth man of the team. I may be stretching it out there a little bit, but I think he may be the sixth man of the Knicks this year. Not necessarily winning the award, but for the team in general. And I do think that he's going to show improvement what he's been doing over the summer. So I think he will be the backup, and that's Tom Thibodeau's boy. Let's just put that in the air also too. You know, he's a gym rat and he works, and Tom loves that. So I don't see his role diminishing. So I think it's going to be IQ, but don't sleep on Derrick Rose either.
Okay, all right, DJ Shuttle.
I won't call him his boy, but I'll call him his guy. And if you think that IQ is his guy, what do you really think of Derrick Rose? That's his man's and all that. So I'm gonna go with D Rose starting at point guard because Brunson's gonna play 33, 34 minutes a game, and playing Rose for 14 minutes a game will avoid him being in pieces, as I heard somebody say in the chat. D Rose, backup point guard. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one. This is what I think will happen. I think we're going to see Rose and IQ, and I'm wondering if Cam is the odd person out. We'll talk about that later down the line.
Yeah, I was trying to be respectful. I didn't want to get my whole breakdown, but it's hard to talk about the backup point guard without talking, because you got four players competing for three spots. And it's really hard to talk about one without talking about all of them together. But I was trying to be respectful, and I only just gave you the one.
Right. But if you put my foot to the fire, I would say IQ is the backup point guard and Rose is situational. However, what's best for the Knicks, if you got a point guard, remember the point guard has been an issue for the Knicks maybe a decade now. If you got Brunson playing 34 minutes and you got Rose, a healthy Rose playing 12 to 14 minutes, that point guard spot is locked down. Like, you don't have to worry about decision making. You don't have to worry about, the Knicks not getting good shots when Brunson is off the floor. It's just locked down. I think with Quickly, though he may bring more 3-point shooting, the decision making, hopefully it has gotten much better, but I still think Rose is ahead of him in terms of decision making because he's just been playing longer, right? So I think it's going to be IQ, but if it is Rose, that point guard position is rock solid. Stafford, you were going to say something?
Yeah, but I still feel like Rose is going to play some point, and IQ may play like an off guard. So I think that you may see that combination at some point in time of the season. Yeah, so I still do think Rose will have a role in this office, not necessarily situational, but he may come in at certain, for instance, of the game, probably to either settle them down or just play traditional point guard and make IQ play off ball, that type of way. But I have to agree with you, Queen. I do think Rose is going to get significant playing time also too.
No, I don't see a path forward for all three of them playing every day. I just don't see it unless you got what, four players, or is it three players for two spots? If you're playing roles in IQ, what are you saying about what does that do for Grimes minutes? What does that do for Cam's minutes? So kind of what you were describing is what I see as situational. We're just not getting what we need out of IQ that particular game. All right, let's put Rose in. Maybe you have your closing lineup, but for whatever reason, that particular game, it's just not happening. You put Rose in because he's a veteran. I think he could sit. I mean, I think he might be a little rusty, but I still think he can sit for a few games and still give you some good minutes. I don't see how you play all three of them every single game. Um, you wanted to say something, Tony, and I'm not sure if Sim wanted to say something.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of tough because I do see a scenario where it could be Rose, it could be IQ at the two, and then it's up in the air, like you said. What does it do? I'm not gonna say definitively Cam's the odd man out or Grimes is the odd man out because I think they it could be either one. Either one. They both have their strengths and weaknesses. Especially like my question, I guess, to you would be: you say Cam is the odd man out. Do you see Grimes' strength as a three? Or
I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying it's something. Listen, we went last season with. I mean, Burks was 6'6" though, but with what Burks, IQ, and D Rose 2 seasons ago.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, Burks is 6'6". I'm just saying I wouldn't rule it out. That's all I'm saying.
I agree. I mean, I feel like it's gonna be those two guys kind of fighting for it, if anything. You know what I mean? Everybody else has more of a relationship and a history, and Tibbs knows. You know what I mean? He's leaned on these guys for certain things already. Um, Grimes not so much. Cam not so much. You know what I mean? And you can argue Grimes a little bit more. I just think he had the first opportunity. That's the way I look at it. And he's probably shown more in his opportunity, so he probably does have the advantage, as far as history shows or what Tibbs seen from him.
Yeah. I mean, I think the battle is going to be between Grimes and Cam. I think that's going to be the battle. Derrick Rose, he's it's hard to keep Derrick Rose off the floor if he's out there and he's healthy because you know what he can do. And Tom Thibodeau is about winning. So he's going to put guys on the floor that he knows, not guys that he's wondering about or guessing about. He'll put those guys out there if he has to. But he's definitely going to put out guys that he knows is going to help him win the basketball game. And Derrick Rose is one of those guys that he's going to put out there on the floor. But I think when it comes down to it, I still think it's going to be IQ that's the backup guy to Jalen Brunson because, it's just the what I want to say. It's the it's the he's the next guy, right? If in 4 years you're not feeling what is going on with Jalen Brunson, or maybe 2 years, you might say, okay, well maybe we're going to go ahead and give IQ the shot. So I think it's the next guy, although he may not play as a traditional point guard, right? So I think it's going to be IQ. Derrick Rose is definitely going to play. It's no doubt about it because you know what he still can do. It's going to be Cam that's got to find his way to crack that rotation, I think, because I think Grimes right now, he's got his, he's got his claws in the Tom Thibodeau. He's already in that circle of trust, and so I think Cam is the one that's got to prove himself.
I agree, which is a perfect segue. I'm a welcome in. I like to call him Big Freezy. Others may know him as Uncle Freezy to give his take on who do you think will be backing up Brunson? Will it be Rose or IQ? And then we're gonna move right into that shooting guard position. And I think that's where I don't even call it shooting. Who's playing opposite RJ Barrett? Right? Because it
Right,
can be
right,
Barrett at the two, whatever.
right.
Well, who's playing opposite RJ Barrett? But Freezy, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to talk about who do you think would be playing behind Brunson?
So first, thank you for having me.
Of course.
You know, a big fan of all the content you put out. I think all the stuff that you do is dope. Right. Secondly, you know, and to your question, the backup to Brunson thing, I think is going to be a rotation of multiple players, and I think it's solely going to be based. I think it's going to be, say, matchup dependent stuff. Like if you're asking me, like when Brunson goes out of the game, who's coming in?
Mhm.
I think that's mainly Emmanuel Quickly's role to lose.
Okay.
Right. I think it's Quickly's role to lose. Because when you look at Emmanuel Quickly's assist percentage, and when you look at his chemistry with the second unit already, I think it would be foolish for Tom Thibodeau to tinker with that, because for a second unit Lou Williams type guard is what people call him, right? For a second Lou Williams type guard, the dude has a 24% assist rate. And so people think he don't pass because every now and then you'll see he'll do heat check and it looks like he's a chucker. But when you do deep dives in analytics, like his assist percentage, you see that this dude passes the ball. And this dude has had triple double games for a dude in limited minutes off the bench. Like, how often do you see an off the bench rotation guy kind of get triple doubles? You don't see that often. That lets you know that their IQ is willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win, whether it be in rebounding at a high rate to get a triple double, or assisting to help the team.
Okay. All right. Fair point. So most of us have IQ playing behind Brunson, um, except for DJ Shuttle. So that's 5-1. All right, let's move into the shooting guard, or small forward, how we want to put it. I think it's going to be RJ Barrett at the three, only because size wise, I believe he's 6'6", 6'7". I think he's 6'7", though. But so is Fournier. So in other words, who's playing opposite RJ Barrett? Do you think that's going to be Fournier? Do you think that's going to be Grimes? And I don't know if you want to throw IQ in there for those who don't see him playing behind Brunson. Anybody? All right, Freezy, we'll start with you and we'll go back.
Okay.
Go back around.
Okay. I would love for it to be Quentin Grimes.
Playing opposite RJ.
Right. I would love for to see a backcourt of IQ and Grimes and RJ and Randall and just not skipping ahead. But I would love, but here's the thing. Grimes is a very young and very flawed, high upside, quality starter in the long run type player. Right? But for all the praise that we heap on Grimes, after the All-Star break last year, he averaged 3 points a game on 28% shooting from the floor after the All-Star break. And that's multiple games. That's like a 7-8 game sample size. So Grimes, for what he did good prior to the All-Star break, was the opposite after the All-Star break. And for you to consider Grimes to be an NBA starter, your NBA starter cannot be a 3 point per game, 28% from the floor type scorer. Because if he's that guy, then I just prefer Miles McBride, because that's what Miles McBride does.
Let me ask you this though. Can I ask you this though, Freezy? You don't give any of that to his injury, because he was playing well up until the injury. Then he came back. Maybe he had to get readjusted, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't know. I don't want it to. So listen, I'm rooting for Grimes. I want Grimes to be successful. And because if Grimes is not successful, that means the Knicks again have wasted an asset. And I don't want to get into I don't want to think that the Knicks are wasting assets in the first round. It's paramount, whether you like Grimes' style or not, for the Knicks to hit on first round picks. It's paramount, right? It's paramount because we can use the narrative that the Knicks find guys late in the draft. I understand that, but I want the Knicks to basically to sum it up. I am emotionally invested in Grimes because I don't want Grimes to be a first round bust, and at the same time, I want Grimes to be successful because I want the team to be successful. So when I mentioned that data, it's not because I'm detracting or taking away from what Grimes did or using some type of excuse for him. What I'm hoping is that Grimes is that guy. Now, with Grimes, if he's not the starter immediately, say Fournier is the starter out the box, and then they transition to Grimes, I'm okay with that also.
Okay.
Right. But I just want Knicks fans to know that this kid Grimes is gonna be something. We just have to be patient with him.
Okay. I also want to add, like I said, who's starting opposite RJ, Fournier, or Grimes? If anybody thinks IQ should start opposite RJ, feel free to throw that in.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about me going that direction.
Hey, I did watch. I'm sorry. I did watch. Shout out to Eru. He was on last night with Guard Up Knicks, and they had a very interesting conversation about Quickly's path to the starting lineup.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I like kind of like the last couple of seconds there. You take starting Evan Fournier, giving Grimes the opportunity to grow into that position, I think is what Tibbs is going to do. I think it's set up perfectly for that to be successful for Grimes, not have to have too much pressure coming into the season, having to do too much, coming in on the second unit, coming against, playing against some backup players will be a way to ease him back in to the NBA game because, he had a good start, but, between the injuries and how he ended the season, it didn't go great. So, and not to mention, Fournier has earned the right to start. I mean, this guy was one of the best 3-point shooters in the league last season, and he's on a team that doesn't really have shooters. He's the best, most dependable, most reliable shooter on the team. So there's no way we should even, to me, there's not even any discussion about who's starting that shooting guard. It has to be Evan Fournier until he either gets traded or he just stinks up the joint. Like he's earned the right to start based on what he and who he played with last year and the numbers that he did put up. The team was a train wreck last year. Randall was a mess. You didn't have really superior point guard play. So, he's just kind of like in a state of chaos with this team and still managed to shoot 40% from three. That's what this team needs. I'm not looking at Brunson, RJ, and Randall to be 40% three-point shooters. Fournier is my 40% three-point shooter. Let's let Grimes, make his way into that role and they can split minutes.
Let me ask you a question. Any concern about Fournier's defense now that we have Brunson? Because we're talking about this in a vacuum, right? We're not really looking at the total construction of the team just yet. Any concerns about fit, like a Brunson and Fournier defensively? And even though Grimes may not be as experienced as Fournier, maybe not as reliable because he's still growing, that the defense he brings kind of balances out what he's not bringing up, in terms of experience?
Yes, it is a concern. So in my coaching mind with this team, I'd have this team, listen, our defense is not going to really be great. It's not going to be a traditional Tibbs superior defensive team. We're going to have to get out and run and gun. We're going to have to outscore some people. And and with a improved point guard play with Brunson, improved play from Fournier, improved play from Randall, RJ. You got a center now who is coming in likely as a backup that can actually score. You know what I mean? I just think that scoring should be a little bit better on this team this year than it has the past 2 years. And I just think this is a year they got to focus on offense, and they got to run and gun, and then they got to be a more offensive team than we would traditionally expect that they would be. And you got to, best defense is a good offense kind of thing is what I feel like the approach should be.
Okay, Tony, and then we'll come back to Stafford.
I don't think I agree with Shadow. There's no question in my mind that Fournier should be starting. You can make an argument that Fournier was he was held the most accountable out of the starters last year. Minus Kemba Walker, who ultimately got benched completely, but and cut and waived and all. But Fournier, I mean, this guy played limited minutes at times. You know what I mean? Like, if his defense wasn't there, he was held accountable. If his shot wasn't there, he was held accountable. Like, that's how Grimes got some of his opportunity. Granted, injury
and that's the same thing.
helped.
Then Tone, that's the same thing everybody wanted the coach to do to Randall.
Yeah.
And he did it to Fournier. But
so that being said, even with that, with him being held accountable, the most out of the starters, with him being pulled, with him not seeing time down the stretch, with him being a new teammate to the team, broke the single season 3-point record. Like this is without everything going right. This is with arguably everything or a lot of things going wrong. I can only imagine him coming back here and being a lot better, a lot more comfortable, knowing what is going to get him benched, knowing that he could be sat for a fourth quarter or a second half, and he's going to be more motivated, in my opinion. And I don't think we've seen the best of him last year at all by any stretch.
Chip on his shoulders, right?
So I think he can be a lot better. Defensive concern, I think you mentioned this the other night, but team defensively he's good. It's the one-on-one defense that kind of hinders him. So if we're running a team structured defense, I think he can be okay. Now, can teams single him out? Absolutely. Can he be a liability in the playoffs in those type of moments? Yes. He can also benefit us on the opposite end of the floor with his shooting. So, but yeah, I don't think Grimes has earned the right to surpass him just yet, and he can be pulled at any time where Grimes can get that opportunity to come in and pick up the slack when needed.
I mean, all good points. I think it comes down to, do you value Grimes' defense? I think he's probably the best perimeter defender on the team, and that he may not be that far behind. Fournier, when healthy, remains to be seen. Over Fournier's, what we know is pretty good shooting and experience defense. I'm not going to say he's a terrible defender. I would just say he's not as good as Grimes. Sam, anything you want to add?
I think Stafford was going to jump in. I can go after Stafford. You about to say something, Steph?
Well, first of all, let me just recommend Uncle Freezy for not calling Grimes a ham sandwich. I am very proud of you, sir.
Yeah,
This is the first time I've heard you call him not a ham sandwich. So
I was biting my tongue.
I'm proud of you. Second of all, let me just shout out also Fournier for getting the silver medal in the Euros with France. Good job. I saw you doing your thing over there. Well, everybody know that I am a big Grimes fan and I want him to start, but I do have a change of heart. feel like Fournier should start. Um, to Freezy's point about the shooting percentage, you can be a starter with shooting those type of percentages, if you want to be an NBA starter. And Fournier, as TC said, broke the Knicks single 3-point record for the season. And what Shuttle said, he's the best 3-pointer on the team. So I think when once we stretch the floor, we need a type of sniper in Fournier. Now, granted, his defense individually is very bad. Teams single him out. Yes, and we have seen when it has happened, Tom Thibodeau has pulled him out. For Grimes, which has a better perimeter defensive, better ball awareness on the defensive end. But I have to agree. I don't see Grimes taking his spot anytime soon unless, he just comes out of the gate and starts shooting between 36 and 40% from the three all of a sudden, and comes this dynamic 3-point shooter, So I'll have to agree with most of the panel and say Fournier. And once he makes that mistake of collapsing on defense, you will see Grimes at that spot.
Oh, you muted, Steph.
Sam, and then I have a follow-up question.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm in agreement with everyone. When you talk about Evan Fournier being the starter, I've been on, I've been a proponent of that for a while. I just think, he played a year with this basically this entire starting unit minus Brunson. Now you got Brunson coming in. And since you didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell, you might as well see where the chemistry goes with this unit, right? Instead of now we're going to switch it up and inject Grimes and Fournier come off the bench and you're switching it up, right? Randall and Fournier had a little bit of chemistry, playing a two-man game. Sometimes Fournier was able to find Mitch. Maybe you can expand upon that a little bit more, right? Guys know where Fournier is going to be. They know where he likes the ball a little bit better because they've played with him, all season long. So I think you got to explore that chemistry and see where it goes. And then defensively, I think at the beginning of last year, there were some guys frustrated with Fournier defensively, feeling as though, he wasn't living up to what this team is supposed to stand for. Coming into this season, they know what Fournier is defensively. Right? So instead of there being frustration, now it's like we know what we got to do to make up for his defensive liabilities. Right? So I think you got to start him to see where that chemistry can go. And he's got a lightning quick shot. Nobody else on the team has that shot, not even Grimes.
And he knows now. He didn't know.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
So,
What are your thoughts though when you think about the NBA overall, but the Eastern Conference in particular, in terms of the wings offensively in the Eastern Conference? How confident are you in Brunson, RJ, and Fournier up top? Because all of them, you could say, as much as they may try hard, are not great defenders. Like, you can probably point to one thing for each of them and in terms of, where they're not that great. So I get it that you could cover up one person, but like Brunson now, not very quick laterally, but strong though. I don't think they're going to be backing him down, but he's also doesn't have a plus wingspan. So shooting over him shouldn't be hard. You got RJ, who's a willing defender. I believe he's a plus defender, but there's still issues laterally. And then you got Fournier also, who I've seen games in which he was super engaged. And I think Tony called him scrappy one time. And when we get that Fournier, definitely, yeah, he was. It definitely helps us. Yeah, I'm, fighting over screens, trying to get back in feisty, yeah, trying to get back in the play, but
Yeah.
overall, a okay defender. What do you
Yeah.
think about those three guys? Because you're not just covering one person now,
Yeah.
and we haven't even gotten to Randall,
Right.
who chooses when he wants to play.
Defensively, I think we're gonna have a uphill battle. Maybe not by each one of them all the time, but probably by one of them at any given time, depending on their particular matchup. Um, Without having an answer defensively, the best thing that I could say is all three of those guys, in their own right, have a solution on the offensive end, where now they're gonna have to bring it that much more. You know what I mean? Like, if Fournier has to guard a Jalen Brown, yeah, he's at a disadvantage. Like, there's no question about it. But he's gonna have to figure out how to make it, how to get his points up and make it to where Jalen Brown has to exert some energy on the defensive end. And he's a good defender, but he's gonna have to figure out his niche. Um, Use that quick release, make him run across screens, and do those things to kind of tire him out. RJ, take advantage of your strength. If you're at a disadvantage height wise guarding some of these small forwards. And Brunson, I'm not necessarily worried about as far as he's gonna figure out how to score. He's gonna figure out how to get his points and things of that nature. It could be a plethora of different ways, but they as long as they're attacking on the other end, especially when they're being attacked, I think that's gonna be they're gonna have to kind of neutralize it that way. I think that's the best option in my brain because again, they all have some type of liability defensively.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they can play really good team defense. I think the communication will be there between the three of those guys. I think they understand how to play defense, understand rotations, and understand how to communicate. Those things can go a long way playing that team, good team defense. So I'm hoping that they can play really good team defense together, with probably Brunson being the guy leading the pack vocally. They're going to have to, because when you look at all three of them, none of them are super fast. None of them have this super athletic ability, to make up for any defensive mistakes. And they've got to know that. I'm sure they know that and they understand it, which means they've got to use their mind to make up for it defensively, right? Being in the right position, having your feet in the right position, you know what I mean? Being able to communicate with one another. Those are the ways that they've got to make up for their lack of lateral movement, speed, athletic ability. You know what I mean?
Right.
They've got to make up for it in that way. And then just toughness and grit.
Right. Which they all three of them have. I think what they all three of them have in their favor is defensive IQ, getting their rotations, knowing where they're supposed to be, and the grit and toughness. Fournier is tough. Somebody said on one of these shows that Fournier is soft. I don't see that at all.
That was me. That was me.
That was you? Oh,
That was
okay.
me.
Yeah. Fournier is a tough cookie. He was tough before he came to the Knicks, and that was something I pointed out when they signed him. That
So,
he was, he's a tough player. He'll stand up to Randall. He'll stand up to anybody. He's a tough player, and Brunson is tough. And I believe RJ, even though he's not very vocal, he's not a pushover either. So I mean, to your point, team defense wise, yeah, I get it. Anybody else want to comment on the
I was
defense?
just gonna say that's a
Yeah, I wanted
European
to.
stereotype, and and I also wanted to say, remember when Fournier first got here? I want to say this was before a game was even played. He talked about how he's not afraid to speak up. He's not afraid to say, if something's going on the court or in the locker room, whatever, he's gonna say how he feels. Hey, you should have did this. This was wrong. You shouldn't have did that. So I think he's gonna show even more of that moving forward. You know what I mean? Like if he's comfortable enough to say that in an interview without even playing the game yet. I'm sure it's gonna come out even more and more. Some of that, those leadership skills. He may not be the leader, but a leader. Shuttle, you.
I wanted to say also too. I don't think it might be a necessarily uphill battle on the defensive end, TC, because you gotta remember we was just outside the top 10 at 11. So I still think that we will play excellent, not excellent defense, but decent defense to stay within that top 10 range. Because Tom Thibodeau, he loves his defense and he loves his rim protector. So I don't see us struggling that much on the defensive end, probably unless it's individual, as we will say, with a Pacific matchup, right? As far as with Fournier, if they do pick on him, So, but I still do think we could be a top 10 defense with team defense, with everybody moving to the right position and playing the right spots, and as Sim said, moving your feet, and just being in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Right.
Stafford, you got to remember we had the defensive guru Alec Burks in the lineup.
Yeah. And also,
Oh yes, number 14 ball pressure.
and also the Knicks. Also, one of the things too, just real quick, is how quickly we forget that the Knicks were ranked 28th in defense, and over the course of the season, they chipped away, got better and better over the course of the season. Some of it was addition by subtraction. You know what I'm saying? Taking out Kemba, the defense getting better. I want to point out this one thing though. Before we anoint Evan Fournier, you know what I'm saying? This guy. Remember, he wasn't the best 3-point shooter on this team by percentage. He was number one on this team in attempts. So when you talk about Evan Fournier
And
breaking
makes.
the record, when you talk about Evan Fournier breaking the record, it's not just because he shot like a clean 44, 45% from three and was a deadly threat. It's just because he took more 3-point attempts, 7.7. He took more of those than everybody else on the team. No
But
other
he shot
Nick.
40%
Yeah,
though.
he shot
Nah,
40%.
No, he
40%,
didn't. No, he
40% though,
didn't. No,
family.
he didn't. He shot
And the
38.9.
and the record is for
38.9,
made.
but
And
The record's
so
for made. It's not for attempts.
I know the record is made and not for attempts, but in order for you to make, you have to attempt.
he shot
But
38
what was his
points.
3-point percentage though? I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I got it right.
It's 38.9. Alec Burks and Derrick Rose had a higher 3-point percentage than Evan Fournier.
But this is the thing though. 39% on that type of volume
Exactly.
is pretty good, because
That-
usually when your volume goes up, your efficiency goes down.
Right.
Rose took what, 3-point shots? Like, to me, Rose don't even count in terms of his percentage, because he didn't take that many, and he's taking
Right.
like 2 or 3 a game.
Okay.
48 to take almost 8 a game and hit him at 39%. Like, you can't say that's not impressive.
There's something to that. But what I'm saying is, it's not as if this man shot 43, 44% and hit threes when we needed them. There were games where one could say, like the Lakers game where Evan Fournier was shooting us out of a game. The Lakers game in LA where RJ Barrett hit the 3-pointer to send the game into overtime. We were like, yo, Evan Fournier, find a spot over there and sit for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not knocking Evan Fournier. I'm actually wanting to build a case for Grimes, right? So I'm not disrespecting Fournier because he's a solid veteran, and every team needs a guy like Fournier on your team, right? I just want to pound the table some for Grimes. I think
One of the things you're overlooking though, he did get sat. He got sat for long periods of times throughout the year. Consistently.
Tony,
So I'm just saying this.
At the beginning of the season,
it can still work that way.
Evan Fournier this season played his career average in minutes per game.
Okay.
He plays 30 minutes. Yes, he did. He plays 30 minutes a game. And this season under Tibbs, he played 30 minutes a game. He played his career average in minutes. Yeah, okay. All right.
The point I want to make about the percentage, when you say it's not like it's 43, 40, who's shooting 43, 44, 45? We're talking about like Curry level. If you shooting 40%, 39% from 3-point, like that's huge. I mean, if we can pull it up in terms of where he lands in the league, at 3-point percentage at 7 a game, I don't know. I think we might be undervaluing that
And then the
a,
second
a
half of
little bit.
this, sorry, Steph. The second half of the season, I mean, the first half of the season, he was shooting a low percentage from three because everybody was
Right.
like, yo, that's what we brought you here for.
Right.
So
Right.
think about how well he had to shoot the second half of the season to get it up to 38.9.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
he was shooting the basketball. Yes, there were games where he didn't shoot it well,
Right.
without a doubt. But he started really shooting that basketball really well, and you could depend on Fournier to knock down a three ball. You know what I mean? And,
He might have been over 40% after the All-Star break.
I think
What I remember
he might
from
have been.
Fournier is if he got open looks and knocked the first two down, he was on that night, and you get him the ball. But if Evan Fournier came down and missed the first two of that game, missed those first two shots, you got to hurry up and bring somebody else in because he just don't have it. He's one of those. I'm not saying he's streaky. I'm saying Evan Fournier was one of those players that when he's got it, he's really got it, and when he don't, then you know.
My issue with Fournier for Grimes would be more on the defensive end, not necessarily, not necessarily shooting, because Grimes, is he putting up 8 3-pointers a game? Like, I don't know. But if you want to talk the defensive angle, I could see Grimes over Fournier. If you want to work the defensive angle, maybe not as great 3-point wise in terms of experience, being able to count on it, but he bring in the defense. So overall, it's just better. But if you're just talking on the offensive end, I don't know if I'm ready to say, just taking into account offense, that I would pick Grimes over Fournier. I think it's the defense that puts him in the conversation.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And
Yeah.
and I'm not down on Grimes. I just don't think he's there yet. I mean, let's take a comparison. He was taking about 8 threes per game in preseason. What were those numbers and percentages looking like? You know what I mean? So let him grow into that. Is no reason to throw him into the fire and have him do it when it's not necessary as of right now. He could become, maybe he progresses into that by the end of the year. But as far as NBA, his first taste of that type of volume was this preseason. I mean, this summer league, not even preseason, this summer league. So, you know what I mean? Let it grow organically. Let him get those opportunities sporadically throughout the year. Now that the coaching staff entrusted it in him on a small sample size, but to just I don't think he's gonna get that same type of production immediately. If he ups his volume, you know what I mean. And I think the only evidence we have is summer league. Did we like what we saw from him? Aggression, absolutely. Doing more things with the ball, playmaking, absolutely. He has to develop that, but I don't know if it's a full staple yet. He has a lot of growing to do still. You know what I mean? Like, and that's not a knock. That's encouraging.
Yeah.
And for all that Evan didn't do or could have done better last year, how much do you think Burks not starting and starting Brunson instead, RJ with another year, like I expect those things to actually help Fournier and for him to have coming into the locker room now with another level of respect. Like, I'm an OG on this team. I'm a vet here. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna say what I need to say. When you're out of position, young boys and Randall, I'm gonna tell y'all, and I don't got no problem telling y'all. And I think that he's also gonna have a chip on his shoulders too, coming back like, okay, your guys think Grimes should be the starter. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all. And I think he's gonna. I mean, Fournier's been a tough player his whole career. Like, he hasn't been a slouch or some soft player like I hear people talking about. So, my hope, Grimes plays exceptional in the time that he gets, and Fournier plays well, and and the team's doing great, and we keep them both. or we're not excelling too far, and in Fournier's trade bait and Grimes has made the team confident that they can let him go or maybe slide him into the starting spot. So, but yeah, you got to start Fournier. He's earned it. 39%, 30 minutes, 28, 29 minutes a game. That's perfect. And I think it could be a good balance with them two together as the shooting guard.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on the Grimes train, but just for those who don't believe that I change my takes, I have heard others, talk more about Fournier, and I feel, pretty comfortable if Fournier starts fine. But I think we all agree, though, that if during the season Grimes outplays him, and earns it, and they make that switch, that we would all be comfortable with that. I think what I'm hearing most people say is right now at the start of the season, they're not quite sure Grimes has earned it. But over the course of the season, well, let me ask the panel: over the course of the season, what are your chances that he will beat
That's exactly where I was
28
gonna
out?
say, Queen. I am confident. Not only I'm confident that Tibbs will do it. Like we've seen it already. We've seen him sit Fournier. Like we've seen him sit him. So the question is who's coming in? You know what I mean? Like that's who. I mean that's what we don't know definitively. But I think we all agree that Grimes has the upper hand. He has that advantage right now. As far as if Fournier has to take a back seat or the minutes are reduced or he's not playing down the stretch. Like we've seen Tibbs do that to him.
Yeah.
With the money he's making, you know what I mean? With everything that comes with it. And Fournier had to answer to it. Yeah, of course I don't like sitting. You know what I mean? Like he spoke at the podium about it. Like he's a professional and I'm confident that if he's not performing, Tibbs will sit him again and find the next guy to step up or give the next guy the opportunity to step up. So I'm super confident.
I think he might give him the first 20 games to see if he plays at that level. If as you said, Tony, if we have seen Tom Thibodeau sit him, so I think the first 20 games will tell if Fournier will be deserving to start the rest of the season, and then after we may see Grimes. So um, it's going into the season going to be very sticky on Fournier, but um, let's see the first 20 games and see what happens.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh,
go ahead.
yeah. I agree with Stafford. I think Tom Thibodeau is going to look at the team and whatever's going on, whatever works is what he's going to do. So I don't think he'll have any problem starting Grimes if he feels that's what's best. I don't have a problem with him starting Grimes if that's what's best. But I think Tom Thibodeau is going to look at not just who the better player is, though. What are the lineups like? It can't just be about who the better player is. You got to look at the lineups and say, does this lineup work together? Because that's what it's all about. When this group of players is on the floor, are they having success? Grimes could be in that group, and it may, oh, well, he's the better player, the better defender, this and that. But if it doesn't work with that group, then it makes no sense, right? It's got to be what's best for the group, and then that's going to be what's best for the team. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
I
And
agree.
yeah,
Oh, sorry, Jefferson.
and I was just gonna say, and I just think he needs more seasoning in the NBA. You know what I mean? His playing was limited last year, and once he's in the starting lineup, he's now got a big dot next to his name as someone that we're queuing in on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And now defenses are looking at him and saying, we really, really, really got to watch this guy. When you're coming off the bench, this, not to say that they don't scout you or they're not preparing for you. You know what I'm saying? But not as if you're one of those guys that's in the starting lineup.
Let me take it a little bit of a step further. He may even flourish in the starting lineup because the focus is less on him and they're focused on everybody else. But the team may suffer because they know they can't leave a Fournier open off the jump. You know what I mean? Like there's no, oh, Fournier's not going to creep up on them like, oh, we didn't
Right.
know he could do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it may benefit Grimes in the starting lineup, but it may hurt the team because now they will double a Randall or RJ or Brunson or somebody else. Now he may thrive, but the team may not as well. Where Fournier, they're respecting him off jump. You know what I mean?
Right.
They know what he's capable of.
Exactly.
He has a reputation.
So you took it a step forward. I'm going to take it a step back. This is why I think that while I understand the argument to start, or rather to put IQ as the backup to Brunson, that's why it's my argument to have Rose as the backup. Because if you have Rose as the backup and you're putting Grimes with Rose, it alleviates pressure off Grimes as well as Cam, as well as Obi. And I know Obi and IQ, they got a thing, they hang out together and all that. It's cool. But when you have a more seasoned guy like Rose with someone like Grimes, you know, all the eyes are going to be on Rose. You're going to be focused on Rose. He can penetrate, get to the hoop, and finish more effective than IQ. That's going to give Grimes the opportunity for better and easier looks, as well as Cam, which is why I am such a proponent for Rose as the backup versus IQ. And, I know we kind of, been extending this argument or this discussion, but I definitely would love to get back to, the starting and training camp battles and what the rest of the lineup's going to look like.
Yeah. You muted, Steph. Muted, Steph.
Sorry about that. Let me just get to some of these super chats. Shout out to 007 Angelo for the super chat. Appreciate you. Salute to Sam, the Podfather. Love Maryland, but you drivers down there are insane. If you see my tractor trailer, please don't cut me off. LOL. Go Knicks.
Okay.
And then shout out to Kaiser Sozi 718 or Kaiser Soz 718. Appreciate the super chat. Evan is a 3-point specialist. He gives up more points than he scores. If he scores 30, his man scores 45. I would rather run Grimes, get 18, and he hold. And I guess he means he hold his the person that he's guarding. And this was not a super chat, but we'll talk about it anyway. Shout out to JWE Event Group. Appreciate you. I haven't heard from you in a long time. Eurobasket is 10 times better comp than Summer League. Who was the better performer? Stop it. All right. Well, strong opinions there. I just have a question real quick before we move on to who's going to back up RJ. If Fournier starts, is it automatic that Grimes backs him up? Do you see Grimes and IQ backing up in that 2-3 position, which would be a 3-guard lineup, leaving Cam situational? So who's backing up? So now let's just say we got Fournier and RJ starting. Who's backing up Fournier? And then also, and you can answer either one of these or both. How come Grimes has moved ahead of IQ as a potential starter? Like we talked about Grimes and Fournier, but IQ wasn't even in the conversation as a potential starter. So you can answer either one or both. Yeah, Tone.
In my opinion, my estimate, he has not surpassed IQ. I mean, we're talking about chemistry. IQ and Rose already developed the chemistry. So if Rose is in fact the backup point guard, in my estimates, it puts IQ at the 2, the backup 2 guard. They already have a synergy together. Like we've witnessed it. We didn't get to see it as much last year because of injuries and circumstance. And again, it goes back to that. Me personally, I prefer Cam at the 3 than I do Grimes at the 3, just because I think he has that. He stays with the advantage height wise. But I think he'll have the advantage with Tibbs as far as pecking order because that he already made it into that circle of trust. So I think it's really for Grimes to lose to Cam, but I am not one who's putting Grimes above Quickly. Even defensively, Quickly has made leaps and bounds. The problem is Quickly has been guarding point guards during the stretch of making leaps and bounds. So even that, he has that my brain disadvantage guarding the two guards. But I'm still confident in him. Workhorse, he's probably been the guy who's improved the most consistently throughout his tenure as a Knick. Even with RJ started at a higher point though. But as far as like constant improvement, I see that out of Quickly more than anybody else.
So you have Quickly, you have Rose now starting at the point guard, and you have Quickly backing up Fournier.
My preference is Quickly backing up point guard, but what I think is more likely is or I'm not surprised if Rose does get that 12 minutes because Brunson's playing 30 plus,
Mhm.
and then Quickly is the backup to playing alongside Rose. And then it's it's up in the air really what happens at that backup 3 spot. That's where the question mark to me comes in.
Okay, all right. Anybody else?
I think I don't think Grimes is ahead of Quickly. I think it comes down to fit in the lineup when people talk about who should be the next guard that starts. If there's going to be someone other than Fournier, I think it comes down to fit, right? Because if you bring IQ into that starting lineup with Brunson and um,
RJ.
RJ, I think it comes to the same questions people had with like Donovan Mitchell, but he's not Donovan Mitchell, right? It's a different talent level. You know what I mean? So now you say, okay, for IQ to operate at his optimal level and do what he does, he probably needs the ball in his hands. Brunson is the guy that's going to run the show. RJ Barrett, I guess he can play some off the ball as long as he's knocking down a 3-point shot. But, you have that same kind of a question, except you don't have that level of talent. So I think the fit is what makes you say Grimes would be there in that lineup. Coming off the bench, I mean, I still think it's going to be IQ coming in with JB. The thing is, the bench is a totally different type of style of play, right? So it's hard to say, well, yeah, this guy definitely comes in for him, and this guy definitely comes in for him because they play a different style. But I mean, at the 3 spot right now, I think it's Grimes at the 3 spot. Derrick Rose and Emmanuel Quickly. I'm still saying Emmanuel Quickly is going to be the guy that backs up Brunson. But with him and Rose in the game, they can play the 1 or the 2, either one of them. They can play on the ball or off the ball. So whichever way or whatever the game, whatever fits the game that night, I think is who Tom Thibodeau will go with, right? And you may even because of the way that the lineups are, you might even see him substitute 2 guys at a time. All things being equal, like there's not foul trouble or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody's not just so extremely hot, you got to keep him in the game. All things being equal on a regular basis, you might see him say, you know what, I'm bringing in IQ and Rose for Brunson and Fournier or something like that. You know what I mean? And then, do whatever other kind of rotations that he's going to do instead of just one person plucking one person, because of the way that the lineups fit and the way that the lineups work.
Okay. So if with the Rose and IQ though, you're saying it could be either Grimes or Cam depending on the matchup. Like I just don't see Tibbs playing more than 10. Like
No,
I just don't see him like, all right, well, this game, because of the matchups, is going to be Grimes at the 3. And next game, because of the matchups, is going to be Cam. Like, I just don't see
no.
Tibbs.
I'm saying it's either he's gonna choose between either Grimes or Cam, and one of
Oh,
those
I see.
guys are gonna be in the lineup, which I'm
Okay,
giving upper
gotcha.
hand to Grimes.
Okay,
So then if, let's say it's Grimes, then when he's substituting for the starters, maybe he brings in 2 guys. But, on
gotcha.
any given night, he could say, well, maybe tonight, because of whatever matchup, maybe I'll play Derrick Rose off the bench at the point guard a little bit more because IQ can take advantage of this matchup or that matchup or,
Gotcha.
things like that.
Gotcha.
You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? But yeah, one of Grimes or Cam, in my opinion, is going to be situational because I agree. I don't think he's going more than 10 deep.
All
I
right.
would I
Anybody
would
else
love
comment on this? Mhm.
I would love if we had some of that Belichick type of unpredictable scheming and game by game planning. You know what I'm saying? I'd love that, and I feel like with the players that we have, that since no one's really that superior, if you will, um, until someone distinguishes themselves, that's the best way to go. Speaking like a coach there, Sim, I see you, and you know, and until someone really stands out, where it's like, all right, you know what, I got to lock in on him. But to what you said earlier, Steph, if I had to put my foot to the fire, I would say that Cam is probably the odd man out, and I hate to say that because I really would love Cam to be like I see so much potential in Cam, but with um with the I don't know, from being a coach myself, like when I have trust in players, I have trust in players.
Yeah.
And IQ, even though he's erratic, he's still done enough to earn some trust. Um, Grimes is still his guy, and D Rose is his man's. So, you know, I mean, that says everything we need to see or hear about Cam. Like Cam has to be super duper incredible, terrific, amazing, exceptional in training camp to really bust through those 3, in my opinion.
All right.
And
I'm going
I
to ask easy. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
Yeah,
you off.
and I think that's gonna ultimately be your backup at those 3 positions. You
Yeah.
know, with some type of unpredictability. You know, piggybacking off what Sim said, based on matchups and lineups and things like that.
Right. I'm going to ask Freezy this question, which is the next question. And it's kind of similar to what we've been talking about already. Who will back up RJ? Right. It's kind of similar to what we were just talking about. Do you think it's going to be Cam, or do you think it's going to be a 3 guard lineup? I think it's going to be a 3 guard lineup. I've heard Tibbs say last season that he believes that Grimes can guard threes. Now Grimes is 6'4", maybe 6'5", depending on which sneaker he wears. Um, but still, if you're playing the 3, you're guarding, guys that's 6'6", 6'7", even taller than that. I mean, I think he's strong. I think he moves his feet well. I don't think those guys are going to get around him. I don't think they're going to overpower him, but they will be able to shoot over him, right? And maybe that's something that Tibbs can live with, right? If you're shooting out, on the wing, you're not getting into the teeth of the defense. Maybe that's something he can live with. But who do you think is backing up Cam? RJ, or excuse me, backing up RJ, Cam, or do you think Tibbs is going with a 3 guard lineup in that second unit? Freezy?
Well, that's a tough question. I think you take pride in that, Queen. I think you go about finding these tough questions and like, I'm going to drop
Want
these
to
live
know?
grenades, and the people want to know, right? Um, ideally, I would love to see Cam Reddish as the 3 off the second unit, because in my opinion, he can do all the things that Grimes can do and more, and he's proven it. The defense, you can't look at his defense in Atlanta because Atlanta didn't value defense. So you can't look at what his defense looked at with the Atlanta Hawks. And the numbers bear that stuff out. When you look at the back of his basketball card, you see poor defense in Atlanta, and you see excellent defense with the Knicks from Cam Reddish, right? Did he blow some stuff? Yes, of course. Everybody has blown assignments every now and then. I think the small guard thing is the wave. Teams don't necessarily feel like they need to have a 6'6" shooting guard anymore. Look at the two teams that were in the Donovan Mitchell hunt, the Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Both of them have 6'1" point guards, right? So I think that the Grimes thing off the bench as a third guard only works if Grimes can display guard skills offensively. If Grimes can't display guard skills offensively, then I would go with Cam Reddish. Because you only want to run a 3-guard lineup if you have 3 effective guards. You know what I'm saying? We all know Cam Reddish has a bag in which he can look sensational on certain plays. And he can look Tracy McGrady-like on 1 or 2 plays a night. Right? And if Tibbs can get that in a more consistent way, then I would prefer to see Cam Reddish. But ultimately, what does that mean for Grimes?
Exactly. One of them have to be situational. And, to somebody's point, I think it was DJ Shuttle, comes down to trust.
Well-
And that's big with Tibbs. And I just don't think Cam has earned his trust. Now, when training camp comes, might be a different story.
But here's the only. I just want to just throw one more thing in. So if Tibbs is developing young kids, so if the development thing is part of the equation, then you gotta play Grimes and Reddish, because you don't trade a first round pick for a dude that's going to be situational.
But
I
you
don't think
can't
that's
play
Tibbs' thing.
everybody. Yeah, I mean, you can't, especially when you have so many kids already in the lineup, right? I mean, a large portion of your lineup are what we consider kids in the NBA. And then you got guys. Jalen Brunson's 25 years old. Mitchell Robinson's 25 years old. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are still very young in the league. So I don't know. Somebody's not going to play. That's just how, that's just how it is, So I don't think Tibbs is going to look at it that way. I don't think he really cares what you gave up for him or whatever. That's the front office. And that pick, I think, had like crazy protections on it anyway, that the Knicks probably weren't going to get that pick anyway. Like top 40 or 50 protected or something crazy like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't think Tibbs cares. I think he's like,
I just want to say, before I get to Tony, is Cam just as good a defender as Grimes? Like, I think Cam plays a different type of defense. I think he's long. He plays the passing lanes. I think he's in the 90th percentile, or very high in terms of steal percentage. I see Grimes as somebody who's laterally keeping guys out of the key. Is Cam that type of defender? And which one? Both of them are fine. But for me, I want somebody who can move his feet and keep guys out of the key. Now, if Cam can do that, and a good still percentage, and I think Grimes still percentage is pretty good as well, I'm okay with that. But like, I think about Allen Iverson, who played the passing lanes, and he would get like 2 steals a game, which is great for fantasy. But when you watched him play, he wasn't somebody that was moving his feet and making sure guys didn't get around him. So I guess my question is, do you think Cam has that type of potential, or is that something he already does and we just haven't seen it?
I think Cam's a better defender already, personally. And part of that has to do with his versatility alone. You know what I mean? Or switchability alone. I think you can make an argument that or on a switch he can guard 1 through 4. Let's just say that. I
Right.
don't know if Grimes' uh span of defense is that wide. I think it's a little bit more narrow. Now, to your credit, he's a different type of defender. He's a on ball defender. He's gonna I, he can stay in front of his man. I don't know if he necessarily stops his man. You know what I mean? But that's a great starting point as far as a defender. You know what I mean? Um,
Whoa, whoa, whoa! How is that a great starting point? He can't stop his man, but he does what? I'm sorry.
I don't think he stops his man. I think he stays in front of his man well. He plays he puts his arms up, you know what I mean? Like he makes the shot. He doesn't stop the shot. He, you know what I mean? He's just there with his guy. But that's not a knock. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? If everybody could do that, that's all you really can ask for somebody. But as far
I
as
just want to go ahead, finish, finish.
I don't think he has the tools defensively that Cam has. I don't think obviously he doesn't have the length. I don't think he has the rim protection. I don't think he has
The height, the athletic
versatility.
ability.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
don't have.
athletic ability. I think all that factors in. Um,
I agree, but this is the question I have: are we talking about who Cam can be ideally, given his height and his wingspan, or are we talking about what Cam has done in the league, which is very different than looking at a player and say, "Oh, he should be able to switch 1 through 4." Yeah, he
I'm
should
look
be
I'm
able to, but like,
no,
what?
he is though.
And he's done that. He did that with the
And
Knicks already.
I'm talking about what Grimes has done. Like we're acting like Grimes is a world defender, which I'm sorry, he's not. He's a solid defender. Like he has good, what's the word, tendencies. He has the good positioning. Like that's like all that stuff is needed. I'm not trying to
I
knock
think it's more
Grimes.
than positioning. It's more moving your feet and being able to
Yeah.
stay in front of a guy so that they don't easily get around you and be able to fight over screens. Now, I'm not arguing and saying he's
Now,
better than Cam. I just want to make
now,
sure.
what happens if the guy gets past Grimes? At that point, there's no saving him. He's not gonna recover like a Cam will. You know what I mean? Like, look at the play that Cam got hurt on. It was a recovery play. You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna see that with Grimes.
A
And
hustle play
it's
by
not a
by Cam too. By the way,
it's not a knock on Grimes. I really honestly believe that Cam is a better defender at this moment. Um, but I'm acknowledging they are two different types of defenders. Like, but that I don't think one is better than the other because of the type of defense. I'm looking at it as a totality.
See, I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. I like what Grimes brings because he's aggressive. I like the fact that he can really, really pressure the basketball. I think he can. I don't know if he can go play defender four. Maybe he can, you know what I mean, on a switch. I think because he plays aggressive defense, he can get up underneath people, which stops guys, even a three man, from being able to penetrate and dribble out on the perimeter because he can get up underneath you and he does move his feet well. Right. So I really do like that aggressiveness. My only question with Grimes, and this is what I've seen in just the first year, my only question is what does he do when teams start to figure out, okay, he wants to get up underneath you, use this tactic, use that tactic, right? So I want to see how does he respond to people adjusting to his type of defense, or if he's playing up tight. So okay, we're gonna set this close screen. You know, can he dodge the screen? You know, teams are gonna start to figure out what he does defensively and then try to counteract that. So I need to see what Grimes does to counteract them. You know what I mean? Um, I think Cam can be a good defender. I didn't get a chance to see everything that he could do in Atlanta. Here in New York, um, he's not that aggressive type of defender. You know what I mean? He's more to me of a passing lanes type of guy, right? He's able to
Correct.
read the passing lanes and he's going to go get the ball in the passing lanes because he does have those long arms. I think he can switch on to a four because he's 6'8". I'm still wondering, can he go and defend a 6'1" point guard? effectively. I know he's long, but can his feet move laterally quick enough to defend a 6'1" point guard? So those things I haven't seen enough, to know if he can do that or not while playing in at least with the New York Knicks, right? I don't know about the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. From the looks of it, from the eye test, I would say Grimes is a better defender from the eye test. But then again, you know what I mean? Like you would probably say we're going to use Grimes 1 through 3. We'll use Cam 2 through 4. You know what I'm saying? So I think that right there does make a big difference between who they can guard, having the 2s and the 3s in common. You know what I mean? And then who defends the 2s and the 3s better. If you're pressuring up, you might say I'm going to go with Grimes. If you're not pressuring up, you want someone that's going to be playing those passing lanes because you got a certain scheme going, then you might go with Cam. But if you're going just mano a mano, right now I would go with Grimes. But
even a guy like Devin Booker, I think I would rather put Cam on Devin Booker than Grimes.
Right.
But that's because of Devin Booker's offensive skill set. Similar to what you said, when they figure out, you know what I mean, like what he likes to do, how is he going to counter that?
But listen, if you're a taller person, you don't automatically have an advantage going against somebody that's 6'5" or whatever, however tall Booker is, because if you can't move your feet, Book gonna be able to either shoot over you or go around you. So that's the issue with Cam. Let's see coming in, can he move his feet? His length, I've seen plenty of guys with length get beat because they don't move their feet, right? So for me, in terms of what I value the most, I value one-on-one defenders who can move their feet and keep guys in front of them. To me, a passing lane defender guy, I mean, that's fine. But just personally, I value one-on-one defenders who can keep guys in front of him. Now, listen, it's the NBA, as best you can, right? There's a lot of picks being set. You got to try to get back into the play. But that's my preference over a passing lane guy. Now, if Cam can do both, then Cam is my
Sell on.
my
I got a question I've been trying to ask for a little minute. Without getting into particulars, would you pick if you just choosing you're picking Grimes over Cam, correct?
if
Like
you know,
like
just
if we got if just in general, like if we had to get rid of one of the two,
that's a tough now because we're not just talking about defense right now, right? We're just talking about overall. That's a
yeah,
tough.
I'm saying right now we just got a decision to make.
That's a tough
And all right, let me just run through the panel because it's a 3-part question. Sim, if you got to choose right now, we got to get rid of one, Cam or Grimes. Do you have a choice?
It's a tough one. It's a real tough one for me. It's a real tough one for me.
Shuttle.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real tough one for me because I mean, you know, I mean, for the most part, Grimes offensively, he showed you 6 points per game. You know what I'm saying, and that he can knock it down from 3, but he hasn't showed you that he can in the NBA that he can put it on the floor, get to the cup at any time that he wants to. He hasn't showed you the same footwork that Cam shows you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a really tough one for me. I might keep Cam because I feel like his upside could be higher than Grimes. I like Grimes. All this talk about, I know Jay West is a guru, supposedly a guru, and all of that. Said he might be better than RJ. At least that's what's out there. Someone said, I don't know. I don't know about that. I like I like what Cam brings offensively.
Let me run through the rest of them because it's a 2-part. Stafford, if you had to choose.
Oh man. I'm not really a big Cam guy like that. So I will have to say more Grimes because I've seen more from him on the defensive end, in my opinion. I know Cam been injured and it's been a hindrance to him. But as far as ball pressure and getting up under the person and being aggressive and him knocking down a 3-point shot and not being injured often, I will have to go with Grimes
I
at this
don't know
point.
about the not being injured often because
Yeah,
he was
I was gonna
injured in
say
his
one.
first
He's only
season.
been
He's
here
only
1
one
year. He's
season
been
in the
injured,
league.
but
Yeah, but
shout out-
Cam been in the league 4 years, going in his 4th year, and he's been injured
True.
quite amount of times.
he's the small forward
So,
Mitchell Robinson.
No,
Oh,
he's a strong.
Shutter, what you think?
so yeah, so I'll go with Grimes.
You muted.
You made it.
I'm going to go on record again as saying, coming out the draft, I had Cam higher than RJ. I just want to make sure I state that clearly for the record. That being said, I mean, Cam would only be RJ's son on this team. And there's no way I'm ever starting RJ and Cam. I can't see that. I can't see that. I know others potentially are delusional and they can see that, but I don't see that. So since I can't see Cam ever being a starter, I would have to pick Grimes because I could see, even though I do admit I could vision a higher ceiling potentially for Cam, I just see Grimes as potentially a better team fit. So, because it's about the team and the name on the front, not the name on the back, I would have to go with Grimes.
Freezy.
Hey, that's an excellent question, bro. And I'm not even going to answer it in a Grimes versus Cam sense. I'm just going to answer it in a asset management sense. Is it easier for me to go get a 6'4" guard that can defend and maybe shoot the three, or is it easier for me to find a great athlete at 6'8" that's smooth and can do the things that guards do? Which one is easier to find?
So you going with Cam?
So I'm going with Cam because I think you can listen. Y'all know I like MJ Walker. I felt like MJ Walker should have been on the roster, and he does the same things that Grimes do. And I'm not knocking Grimes. I like Grimes, and I like MJ Walker. You know what I'm saying? But I just think you can find a Grimes faster than you can find a Cam.
I think we also have to take into consideration that we're talking about the potential of Cam. We're talking about somebody who has a history or at least a reputation of not having a high motor, somebody who's been in the league almost 4 years, and we're still thinking about what he can be and not talking about what he has been. So you can also find, I agree with you, you can find a Grimes anywhere, but you can also find a 6'7" athletic guy who hasn't put it together.
Shout out to the chat who said
Find that as well.
bring Knox back.
I didn't say that's gonna get knocked, right?
Guy who hasn't put it together.
Are we saying Cam is Kevin Knox?
No, somebody in the chat said that. I was just
You got to do that with EPD.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to take over your show, but can we just do that same exercise, Grimes and quickly? You can only keep one. Who you choosing?
Boy.
I'm going quickly. I mean, if it's two ways to think about it for me. You know, if I'm going on ability and who I think has all-star potential, more all-star potential, I'm going with quickly. If I'm looking at fit and what you need for a team, depending on what we have, I might go Grimes. But yeah, so depending on if I'm looking at okay, who do I think is going to have could have a higher ceiling, then I'm going with quickly.
See, I I want to hear everybody's choice, but I'm picking Grimes is the odd man out in both of those situations for me personally. And I also will go with quickly because not only do I think you have the all-star like potential, if not even exceeding that. Maybe I'm delusional too. But even if he doesn't reach that, I think on a lesser scale, 6 man of the year potential. You know what I mean? So I see both of those in there for him. But the reason and I do want to know you guys' choice between Grimes and Quickly as well. But that was the reason why I feel like me personally, Grimes is kind of the odd man out. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being moved. But then the only other solution I think where it kind of all falls into place is if Rose happens to be moved.
Can I just put
But
this in? Can I just say this? We're comparing Grimes, who may have played 40 games, against Quickly going into his third season and Cam going into his fourth season. So I think for me to answer that question, I would definitely need to see a little bit more of Grimes, have a little bigger sample size before I would make that determination.
that's
Queen,
fair.
but
My
Queen,
brain, I compare.
how do we say that? But then we say that Grimes. Then we talk about Grimes' defense. So we're saying we need to see more of what Grimes needs to do in comparison to other guys. But then we use the things that Grimes was good at as the linchpin for argument to play Grimes.
Without
But there's a
referencing the
difference.
sample size.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a difference between because we're not getting rid of a guy. We're just saying
Right,
who
right.
are you going to start over somebody. That's very
Right.
different than I'm gonna use this small sample size to get rid of a guy. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying? Or we
Right,
just
right.
talking about we're gonna start him over Fournier. He's a better fit or whatever. But the question Tony asked was, who would you keep and who would you get rid of? That's a more dire situation to
I
me, and
understand
I
what you're
feel
saying.
like I would need to have a larger sample size before I answer that question.
I can compartmentalize, so
Mhm.
I could, and I may be in the minority with this, but I could look at Grimes's year and Cam's year here, and
Right.
still feel that way. I can look at Quickly's first year only and compare Grimes. I could look at Grimes Quickly's second year only.
Quickly first year he was not a good defender. He chucked up he chucked up shots. So I don't even I'm not sure about that. But it's already 9:40, 9:48, and we have yet to get to two position battles. So let's just rush it along. We already know Randall is starting, right? Like there's no position battle there. And as far as the backup four is concerned, it's going to be Obi. I don't really see um,
Ooh.
any other option at the four. I don't think Sims is a viable option backing up Randall. And we're not going to talk about other people that's not on the team just yet. So I guess the only question I have there is what will Obi bring in more minutes? What will he bring to the team if he's able to get more minutes? We're not going to even talk about the path forward. I don't even see how that's going to happen, but we've gone over that so many times. What do you think Obi brings in his backup role to Randall that might be a little different than last season?
Consistency, confidence. Like I would have said, what is Obi gonna do in the same amount of minutes
Right.
potentially?
Well, similar question. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you know what I mean. That's what I would hope. Like I want more minutes for him, but if he gets the same minutes, I want him to play better. You know what I mean? I don't want him to. I don't want that to be the excuse of why I couldn't do this or couldn't do that, because we know what you're capable of, and you know what you're capable of. Produce in the minutes that you have. So I'm looking for consistency. Not looking over your shoulder, whether you're getting 15 minutes or you're getting 20 minutes or more.
Okay.
I think with Obi, it definitely has to be better defense. His footwork, moving his hips, more better rebounding. I think once he brings those intangibles more to the game, I think he may get more minutes and he won't have to be looking over his shoulder. As far as his shooting, last year, coming down to the end of the season, I think he shot like 38% from three or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody knows the stat, please throw it up in the chat. But if he could be more consistent in that also too, that will bring a lot more element to the team and to his game. So I would like to see his 3-point shot go up, but my concern is more on the defensive end and his footwork and just grabbing more rebounds.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think he brings an entirely different game to the table than Randall, and it's part of the reason why that second unit is so different. I think, right? Obviously, we know he brings a lot of excitement to the game, but he's getting up the floor. I think he's, if they were to race, they're probably, maybe they're even in a race or something like that. Randall and Obi. But Obi uses his speed more than Randall, in my opinion. Right. And so now, and then you got IQ that's always looking up to find Obi up the floor. So now that makes defenses say, we might not need to go to these offensive boards because Obi's running up the floor. We got to make sure we got somebody back. Right. So I think that brings a different aspect to the game. And I want to see him keep doing that. He also, if you have Obi out there and if you have Mitch out there on the floor, you got two guys that can spread the floor vertically. That's a lot of trouble for teams, right? Because either one of those guys can catch a oop, either a backdoor cut off of the screen and roll. So I think he brings that, which Randall doesn't really bring to the game. And then the way that when they catch the ball on the perimeter, when Randall catches the ball on the perimeter, he's probably looking to penetrate, bring it down into the post, draw, and kick. Obi plays a different game. The floor is a little bit more spread open because he's not looking to do that. He's looking to catch it and move it. When Obi looks to penetrate, he's looking to catch it. I caught the ball. Okay, I'm going to make a quick move and penetrate to the basket. It's not going to be a jab step, boom, 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 and score. Now, there might be a lot of people saying, well, that's the way we want it to play. That's not necessarily always better just because it sounds like it's better that a guy, is going to make these quick moves, because it may mean that guy just can't break down his defender. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reason why he has to go that route, because he can't break down a defender. You know what I mean? So it's a different style of a play, which I think is good, because now when you bring Obi into the game, defenses have to switch up the way that they think, the way that they prepare now. You know what I'm saying? It's not just going to be the same type of player out there on the floor. You know what I mean? So I want to see him just play his game. He doesn't have to try to be Randall to take Randall's minutes. Just play his style of basketball, right? Be fast, be a deer getting up and down the court, catch those oops, knock down the three. He likes to play within the offense. Go ahead and play within the offense. You know what I mean? Because I think that's what he's best at. And people have said, well, and including myself, he doesn't break down the defense, I don't think he's going to be that guy, right? He's going to be a guy that gets his points out of the offense. He's not going to be the guy that you rely on to get a bucket when your offense isn't going well. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking to see him do.
And Sim, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, people say I'm an Obi hater. I think for me is when people want to make him something that he's not, or when people say he's better than Randall. But Obi in his role, I think is great for us. To your point, Sim, you have your regular team, they play one style. Now you got that other team that comes in and they change it up. And Obi gives us fast break points that we need. Any easy baskets we can get is going to help. He stretches the floor vertically. He can go over the top, even in the half court. all of that helps us. So for me, Obi in his role, I'm totally fine with, and I value that and we need it. And as a matter of fact, what I'm hoping is that 3-point shot that we saw at the end of the season is a part of his repertoire for the entire season, at least at 35%, because now that really opens things up for us. Now he can play in the half court and be of value, right? Now it's not just he needs to be in there with IQ, he can be in there with anybody. Now if we're not in transition, if we're playing a half court game, he's still an asset because he can hit the 3-point shot, right?
Right.
If he adds a little bit more rebounding, and I don't think he'll ever be a plus defender in space laterally, but if he becomes, and I've seen some of it getting better as a team defender, if he continues to get better as a team defender, rebounds a little more, hit the 3-pointer a little more, that levels up the second unit even more, right? And so this is all that I'm hoping Obi brings. I just get crazy when people start talking about starting, getting rid of Randall, replacing. Now I lose it. But in his role on that second team is super important for us, and I value that. And he get that 3-pointer down, that second unit is gonna level up big time.
Yep.
Well, one thing, past great benches always had was, the guy that ignited the fans with the hustle plays. I know he runs fast. I know he gets the dunks, but I'm gonna need a little bit more of the hustle plays, like the ball's going out of bounds and you dive and you save it, or you pick up the guy half court, pressure unexpected.
Some weak side shot blocking, some hustle.
Man, more than that. I'm talking about true hustle plays. Get on the floor, even though the other team still gets it, but you made a great attempt, and the crowd's like, "Yo, that's great."
Chase down shot blocks.
Yeah, I mean, shot blocks is cool, but I'm talking about the real gritty, get on the floor, diving, aggressive hustle plays that won't come up in the box scores.
The garbage man plays.
The garbage man plays. That will distinguish you, Obi Toppin, if you are listening. We need the hustle plays from you. We need the hustle plays. We need the plays that make me think of Oakley. We need the plays that make me think of Mason. You understand what I'm saying? I need those Starks. I need those type of plays that ignite the crowd. That's not a slam dunk or a shot block.
Bam.
That's what I need. That's what I need from Obi to distinguish himself as a player that is not just only about the scoring.
Well, let me just say this real.
Obi too finesse for that. I don't see Obi doing that.
But that's why I need
finesse.
That's why
That's what I
need
say.
that though. Rude boy. I need some rude boy. You hear me?
But does he have
rude boy?
Let me say
don't
this
know
real
if he has
quick,
that in him.
Yeah. Let me say this real quick, and I think me and Freeze may have been talking about it. The energy guy. So for our fans, from what I'm hearing, Obi brings energy because he dunks the ball and the crowd goes wild, and that's energy. But when I think of the energy guy, I think of what you're talking about, DJ Shuttle. That lunch pail guy, that
Junkyard dog
guy, who's a plus defender, who's going to energize you with that weak side block, who's going to rebound well for you, who's going to fly
momentum changer.
Right. Fly out of bounds.
Get in somebody's face.
For deflection. Like, to me, that's my definition of an energy guy. And when I see Obi, I don't see him as an energy guy. I just see him as something we need now in terms of space.
He's too nice.
Getting us those transition buckets. But
shout out to Kerry Cox. He said he's an entertainer.
Hey, Queen.
I don't know how fair that is, but
Queen, how we expect to get that from a dude that wore a purse to a summer league game, right? Obi Toppin legit right now is in the category with an Anthony Randolph, with a Tyrus Thomas, with a Stromile Swift. Like the guys that have all the measurables and all the dream scenario type guy. That's Obi. The size, the athleticism, the smile, all these things. But Anthony Randolph ain't turned out to be nothing. And Sherman Swift ain't turned out to be nothing. Tyrus Thomas ain't turned out to be nothing. And we asked, because Shuttle, right, bro, if Obi can be all them things that Shuttle just said, bro, now we looking at a dude. Now we're legit having a Randall Obi conversation. But this dude, yeah, man.
Yeah,
and I like Obi, by the way. I just think we need to expect something different from Obi. I think we should expect a face-up 4 that's not going to rebound, that's going to get out on the break. But here's the thing. The energy thing that you said, Queen, about Obi getting out on the break and all that stuff. Now that we have point guard and a point guard rotation, everybody's going to be getting out and running. It's not Randall grabbing the board and pushing it. Now that you have a Brunson that you can outlet to, you can get all the kids out there and running. So now Obi's specialty last year without a point guard the past 2 years is not going to be the things that define him now that you have a Jalen Brunson. Because now everybody out running. Now we get to see RJ and Cam and Quickly and everybody out running.
Right.
So now, what does Obi do? Obi need to be that face up, that face up guy, that offensive threat.
One, I don't know. I don't even know if JB is going to be playing that much with Obi. You know what I mean? To be able to get out and run, you know, with him, you know, and as far as getting up and down the floor and being able to, you know, get to the rim in a second, I don't know if we have anybody better than Obi. To be honest with you, I mean, who else is going to be better than Obi than being able to get up and then get to the rim in a split second and elevate as high as he can? I don't think we got anybody that's going to be able to do that. And I don't want to put expectations on a player. When you're coaching, you've been with this guy now for 2 years.
Right.
You got to be able to see and say, I know who this guy is a little bit.
Right.
And there's some things that I'm not going to expect from him.
Okay.
And if you expect, I mean, you know, if you expect a cat to bark, you know, you might be waiting for a while. You know what I'm saying? You might be waiting for a while. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, you got to look at what he does and say, okay.
And then take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is why Randall's going to be playing 34 minutes. And people are going to be saying, I wish Obi was playing more.
And Uncle Freezy is not a purse. It's a merce. Okay, just to, you know, it's called a man purse. It's a merce.
I don't have
not
experience with that. I'm always going to be wrong, bro, because I don't have experience with that.
Let me read these super chats real quick. Shout out to Kaiser Souls 718. For 7 out of 10 seasons, Fournier has been a negative on the plus minus. He's not going to be a better defender. All right, appreciate that. Shout out to Jay Boogie in the house. Shout to the chat. Opening home game versus Detroit. I will be shooting a video honoring all Knicks fans. The song is called The Biggest, produced by Mr. Sim NBK. Listen out for further details. Will do.
Yeah.
Will do. And I thought I saw a super chat, but it didn't come across the screen, or did I miss it? Oh, yeah, here it is. Shout out to Wacko in Brooklyn. Appreciate the super chat. I don't see our enforcer Randall doing any of that. But that's not his role. And to my point, when I say that energy guy, I wasn't expecting Obi to be that. I was just saying I would like to have that type of energy guy on our team.
I like to see that from Cam as well. Carve a niche.
Yeah.
Love it.
Last question.
Now you're talking about talk, Tone.
Last question, last position battle. Mitch and Hartenstein. Who do you think will start? I thought it was a lock that it would be Mitch, but then on the last show, Knicks and Bruises, something, you know, there was thought that Hartenstein can start. But so who do you think will start between Mitch and Hartenstein, and who will get the most minutes? I mean, this is a position where I think there will be a minute share. I don't know if it'll be 24-24, but I could see a 28-20. I wouldn't be shocked if I saw a 28-20 at this position. But Sim, we'll start with you. Who do you think starts, and who do you think gets the most minutes?
I think Mitch definitely starts.
Me too.
Minutes, I think they might be split. I think there's a good chance that the minutes are split, unless Mitch is just like dominating the glass, dominating the paint as far as blocking shots and things like that. I think Mitch starts and maybe the minutes are split because you're going to need what Hartenstein brings to the game, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Queen, I want to modify my take from Knicks and Bruises.
Okay.
And I'm gonna focus on ending the games. Like I said, on a previous show, I think Mitch ends up being that defensive substitution down the stretch, but Hartenstein gets the role with the closing unit for the same reasons why I thought he could possibly earn a starting role. I'm gonna keep him off that starting role, but I think he earns the end game, the finishing role. Free throw shooting is going to be super valuable down the stretch. DJ Shuttle, what do you call him? Baby Jokic. His ability to play make
Baby
down the
Joker.
stretch. Baby Joker.
Baby
His
Joker.
ability to play make down the stretch. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to be vital. Stretching the floor, but not just stretching it because he could shoot. The fact that he could pass from outside the paint, it's just going to really open the floor for Brunson, RJ, Randall to all kind of get to that basket where they like to be. Brunson's already a good finisher, but I think it increases Randall's finishing because it's a little bit opened up. I think it increases RJ's finishing as well. So I think Mitch starts. I think Hartenstein finishes games. Um, with Mitch coming in for defensive substitutions. When they're possible.
Tony, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I think Mitch does start and Hartenstein does finish the game just because of the weak free throw percentage and free throws from Mitch. Now, if Mitch can develop that and bring it up to at least, let's say 70%, 75%,
Oh my God.
and he is, I know it's a stretch, Queen, but
48 don't even shoot 75%, bro.
you know, if and then if he could at least give us a little something around the rim, a little offensive jump shot, a little hook shot, something like that, to his game, I wouldn't mind seeing Mitch end games, but for right now, I have to agree with Tony. I do see Hartenstein finishing games just because he could stretch the floor. He's a good passer, and he could make his free throws. So and as far as defensive substitutions, yes, because I think Mitch is a better rim protector than Hartenstein. Some people may disagree, but I do think Mitch is that guy when it comes to defending the rim. So I say Mitch starts, but the ending of the games is going to be Hartenstein.
Yeah. I think Mitch definitely averages more, but I think Hartenstein's block rate might be higher, so that if he got the same minutes, he might average more. Um, but yeah, anybody else? I agree. I see Mitch starting. I see Mitch probably playing 28. I see a 28-20 split, 26-22 maybe. And I definitely see Hartenstein closing, not just because of his free throw shooting, but because of his ability to space the floor, whether he shoots the three or not. I think opposing teams that know that threat is there, and so that they would have to respect that, and that'll give us some more spacing. Freezy?
I disagree some. I like Hartenstein, right? And I think Hartenstein is going to be a better player with the Knicks than he was in his previous 4 spots.
Okay.
But I want to pump the brakes a little bit, right? Just slow down a little bit. Like, you don't be a career backup center and then come to New York, to Manhattan, and break out. I'm just saying easy, just easy. I'm thinking Mitch is going to be 15 points and 11 rebounds and a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year this year, right? And the reason why I say that is because I think his numbers will increase. Like I was telling Queen the other day, not because Mitch starts to generate his own shot, but I think the pace of play will increase where you get more shots per game. So he gets more attempts per game. And not just more attempts, not just more shot attempts, but others are getting more shot attempts per game, which gives Mitchell Robinson more rebounding opportunities, right? So now if you consider Mitch, when you consider the pick and roll between Alec Burks and Mitch Robinson, it's the worst thing you ever saw in your life, right? One dude wouldn't screen, the other dude had no vision. The ball handler couldn't finish at the rim. Wouldn't pay. So now you add Jalen Brunson to this, and I'm not saying that Jalen Brunson is a dimer because he's not. Jalen Brunson, at his very best, is a safe passer. If he's not going to throw risky passes. Now, while that stops you from turning the ball over, it also stops you from making the exceptional play, right? It's the Chad Pennington thing, right? And I'm not knocking Chad Pennington. I'm not knocking dudes like Phil Simms or any of them trash quarterbacks that the Giants had over time, Daniel Jones, whoever. What I'm saying is that what I'm saying is that Jalen Brunson at least sees the basic pass and make the basic plays, right? With Mitchell Robinson, which gives him more attempts at the rims. And then towards the end of the season, kind of like when we said with Fournier and Grimes, I kind of see towards as the season progresses, Hartenstein takes on more and more of a role and gets more and more involved in the offense. But I think off the rip, I think Mitchell Robinson is probably going to be Mitchell Robinson and Emmanuel Quickly are going to be our breakout candidates early on from the guys that have already been here.
But I don't think that's any different than what we said, though. What do you think the minute split is going to be?
So you agree? Okay. So the minute split.
I think the issue is just the minutes and the closing and who would close.
I think early on, Mitch would probably get about like what you said. Last year he played 27 minutes. This year I think he'll probably play about 28 minutes, which is basically the same. Mm-hmm. And then I think you'll see the other kid play about Hartenstein play about I think we're definitely going to see Sims, right? I think I think you're definitely going to see Sims. That's the reason why I don't want to give all the other minutes to Hartenstein. I'm not saying it is a 3-man rotation. What I'm saying is that big men get in foul trouble. Don't get this thing twisted. Don't act like we carrying 3 bigs just because it's a surplus. Big men get hurt and they get in foul trouble. So you're gonna see Sims. Don't count out Sims. So I'm saying maybe 28, maybe 18, and the other minutes, whatever they are, goes to Sims.
I mean, I think we'll see. I think we'll see Sims throughout the season, but I don't think it's gonna be. You're not gonna see all 3 on the same night. You know, it's hard for me to see that. I think you'll see Sims. You know, someone will get in foul trouble or be out of game or hurt or whatever it is, and you'll see him play. Right. It's hard for me to see all 3 of them play on the same night.
Right. And that's what we mean by situational. Doesn't mean that these guys are not going to play. It just means a situation is going to have to come up for them to play. And I think an injury or foul trouble is a situation. So, yeah. Do you think, Freezy, that Hartenstein will close games, or are you comfortable with Mitch closing games?
I am not comfortable with new guys coming in, closing games at the beginning. I think that's what destroyed the chemistry for the Knicks last year off rip when you had a Fournier Kemba thing coming onto a team where the prior year had made the playoffs and you brought in 2 new guys and they're in clutch moments. And I don't think Tibbs is either because like to what Tony said earlier in the show, Tibbs was sitting Fournier in stretches, right? Tibbs was, and he sat Fournier and played guys that he had already had a comfort level with, right? So I don't know if Hartenstein is going to close games immediately. I think it's one of those, as the season goes on and as this team becomes more of a team, like when you'll know what to expect from guys, like at 40, 45, 50 games, then you might see Hartenstein be the closer. But he ain't just coming in here
50
for
games?
Yes. Yes.
You think
Okay.
You saw
50?
what happened with
Wow.
us. You saw what happened to us last year when Kemba and Fournier was closing games out the stretch, right?
But they were starters.
Right.
They were starters, and they took the ball out of Randall's hand, and Randall wanted the ball more. So I think that's totally different than the backup center.
Were they starters with the Celtics the previous year? No. They were coming
But
off the
Brunson
bench
is
for the
gonna
Boston
close,
Celtics.
though.
I get it. I know, and I understand that it's hard to believe, but what y'all not getting is these guys wasn't here last year, period. And you gotta give these players some time to transition and get used to playing with the guys that were already here and this coach that is stubborn.
So
That's my
So-
question, though, to you. So Brunson is new. You don't think
Right.
Brunson is going to close games?
I think Brunson will probably close games because he's the starting point guard and Tibbs knows him already. But does Tibbs have the same trust in Hartenstein?
no.
That's what I'm saying.
But
That's what I'm
Freeze,
saying.
don't you think Mitch free throws is going to be a concern if they was to say do a hack a shot? Wouldn't you say that's a concern? That's why they will put in Hartenstein to end games.
I think that's maybe so, but we don't know what the start what that lineup is going to look like. Because here's the thing, Mitch's free throw thing may be an issue and situationally, like in a close game, you got to take out Mitch. But what happens when the Knicks have a 12-point lead and you closing out the game, and you don't want the other team to come back? Do you take your best defensive player off the floor?
Nah.
That's what I'm saying. We got to consider all these things, man. Just what I'm saying is give it some time to cook. You know what I'm saying? And Hartenstein get used to it, and these guys get used to Hartenstein. I like Hartenstein, by the way.
I don't think it's going to be 50 games, though. I think
Yeah.
that's where I disagree. I don't think it's going to take 50 games.
I think it's going to be right from the beginning. It's going to be based on what's happening in that game. If the Knicks are playing a team or if the Knicks are really struggling shooting and spreading the floor, come down the fourth quarter, they might say, yo, we need to take Mitch out. Let's bring Hartenstein in because he can at least demand some respect outside the three-point line, and we need this floor to be spread open a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be based on each player's play coming down the stretch and matchups on that night, etc.
I think with this guy, Baby Joker, I think his ability to pass the ball to people and find an open man is going to ingratiate him amongst the team, and that's going to be a difference maker. Where like someone said earlier about Brunson's ability to make the safe pass, but not the spectacular pass.
Right.
Baby Joker is going to probably be the guy making the most spectacular passes on this team. Right. If I had to predict who's going to make the best dimes on this team, my money is going to be him. So again, I think that's going to ingratiate him to the team, and that's going to warm him up faster than 50 games to be in that lineup at the end of the games.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see. Time will tell.
But y'all do understand that what I'm pointing to is the transition period, though, like an adjustment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think the question is, how quickly will Hartenstein get into Tibbs' circle of trust, as we've started to call it here? And I think that Tibbs likes versatile bigs who can pass the ball and have decent vision, going back to Joakim Noah.
And Towns.
And Towns. And I think
And
if
Randall.
and Randall.
Yeah.
And
I think if Hartenstein
Ain't
plays
nobody hear
well
that,
out
Freezy.
the gate, I think it might. I think we might see that quick.
And you know, I think Hartenstein was a guy that they had Hartenstein. They had him pinpointed to
They
begin free
targeted him.
agency.
Yep.
They
Correct.
targeted him.
Yep.
And that may have came directly from Tibbs. I mean, that was the first thing that happened. Bam.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think he's a guy that they wanted him.
Oh, yeah, because he makes the same
They
money
wanted
as Noel made. And you see they got rid of Noel and brought in Hartenstein. And Noel contributed to our playoff team, and he knows Tibbs' offense and defense. And they shuttled him off
Yeah,
and brought in Hartenstein.
They wheeled him off in a wheelchair because he couldn't help it.
Right.
That's what they
And
did.
it was a good trade-off. It was a good trade-off. I think we all would agree, no?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I liked what Nerlens Noel brought to the team when he was healthy and able to play.
Yeah,
But he just couldn't
I
stay healthy
agree.
and stay on the team. What was you gonna do?
And Butterfingers too. Butterfingers.
Right. Yeah.
That Butterfingers was bad.
Any last words? Anything you want to add to the discussion?
Yeah, I seen something in the Bleacher Report was a very surprising to me. They rated RJ Barrett as the best second clutch small forward behind Zach LaVine. I want to know what the panel think about that.
I don't remember RJ taking a lot of clutch shots. I'm sure they have advanced stats to back that,
They do. I don't have it in front of me, but they did.
And then that's what it is. I mean,
Hey, you can make the stats say whatever you want to say.
Man,
Yeah.
So
I think
Yeah.
it's yet to be determined how he is in the clutch.
Yeah.
I'm not
He did
basing a
hit some
whole
big
lot.
shots,
Listen, that one Boston Celtics shot, I'm not basing a whole lot off of that one. You know what I'm
The
saying?
Lakers game, he was clutch.
But
Yes, he was.
I just think it still remains to be seen. I'm not going either way with whether or not how much he's a clutch player or not. See what he does. See what he does. You know what I
I
mean?
think he has the potential.
I agree
But-
there.
Yeah, but he hasn't had enough opportunities
Exactly.
and excelled at enough of those opportunities for me to be like he's the number 2 small forward. I don't care what the numbers say.
well, in terms of hitting clutch shots behind.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Stab, you don't have the numbers, but like it got to be like, what are we defining clutch? Like how many shots? Like how many minutes left in the game? How close is the
Usually it's 5 minutes or less, and you are within 5 points, one way or the other, either up 5 or down 5 in the last 5 minutes of the game. Usually
Okay.
that's how it's
Yeah.
defined.
I mean, he's hit some big shots. There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
He's hit some big shots.
Yeah.
He's missed some easy ones.
Yeah. He was. Oh, yeah.
And he's
Yeah.
missed some free throws, but everybody
That's
on
a
the team
fact.
has too. Everybody on the team has done the exact same thing. So, he's growing. See what's
Yeah,
up.
no doubt
He's
about it.
growing.
No, I'm expecting less missed layups this year.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, if RJ's finishing at the rim, hitting his free throws, and hitting his shots off the dribble, lights
Yeah,
out.
nah,
Lights Lights out.
I mean, RJ could easily be 24 to 25 points per game if he put up his 3-point percentage a couple of points and he missed one less layup. That's five.
And hit more free
Gonna
throws.
hit more free throws.
'Cause he goes to the line a lot.
That's 5 points easily. He could jump on his per game average. So
Even if
I mean-
he just hits more free throws,
Right.
he can
Yeah,
he can up his average 2 to 3 points, even if he just hits more free throws.
that's
And-
what that's
and
what
And
Right.
Sheldon, I'm gonna disagree with you a little bit. I think RJ Barrett gets to that point. Not totally disagree because I agree with you mostly, but I'm gonna just say this. I think if RJ Barrett was getting foul calls at the beginning of the season, like he did after the All-Star break? Because he went 4.4 times before the All-Star break and 8.3 after.
Mhm.
Right? If RJ can start off the season somewhere in the middle, like 6 times a game, you know what I'm saying? And then as the season goes on, grow that number towards 8 or 9. I think RJ Barrett gets to that thing. Yeah, because even if the percentage stays the same, but you get more chances, the number goes up.
Well, we need second half RJ
We
in the
definitely
first
need
half.
second.
Well,
Yeah.
He's been a second half player pretty much every year.
right.
So we need second half RJ for 2 halves.
He stunk at the beginning of the season last year. Let's just be honest.
He did.
Oh, it was
He did.
it was
He did.
Barsuda.
But I think you've seen a mental shift in RJ in the second half of the season, to be more aggressive, to take, more control of the team when he has the ball in his hands,
Right.
to be more of a decision maker. That's that's the confidence. That's the confidence thing, what I mean? And maturing as a young man, so many people, in my opinion, forget about that these guys are sometimes 19 years old when they come into the league. And they got to mature as a man. You don't just automatically take that leadership role. You know what I'm saying? You're 19 years old. You're still figuring things out. You're still shopping for or you're just now shopping for yourself, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like you're figuring things out. And I know people say, well, we're talking about the basketball court, but it relates to the basketball court because you're maturing as an individual. When you're 22, 23, 24 years old, you understand life a little bit better. You're more comfortable living on your own. I mean, these things really do come into play. So you got to give guys some time to grow into that leadership thing. And I think RJ took steps during the end of last season or the second half of last season and growing into being a leader, one of your primary leaders on the team and not being afraid to take control. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And
Young
if you
vet
ask
now.
me, right, and if you ask me, that was the biggest leap for RJ. I mean, he's averaging 20 points a game. You take more shots, you're gonna average 20 points a game. What was more impressive in that second half was just his aggressiveness, his assertiveness, not feeling when he got the ball that he had to just pass it to Randall. Like basically running the offense, looking for people himself. To me, that was the biggest shift in RJ Barrett. And I know people point to the 20 points a game, but that's what I point to. He just looked different on the court.
Yeah.
But
And
Queen, I wanted to just point this out too. The first half of the season wasn't just about RJ being passive, but they had to get used to an entirely new backcourt. That's the reason why I keep pointing out the transition thing and getting used to the new players thing. They had an entirely new the backcourt the year before was Bullock and Payton. Now last year they're playing with Kemba and Fournier. And then even this year, they bringing in another point guard, another starting point guard for the third year in a row. And so that's the reason why I'm saying, like, when you ask me like the questions and such, it's not like I'm trying to be dodgy because I'm not.
no,
You know what I'm saying? I might be intimidated because I know you're gonna ask me a hard question, but listen, but the thing about RJ and these other young players is like it's kind of like it's like you're trying to find your way, but every time you bringing in new personnel, the team has to go through the adjustment period first before you see what the finished product is gonna be.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at, especially with Brunson coming in.
Right. I agree with that. I definitely agree with it, right? But I think when you have a little bit, when you're confident, you've been on the team now. This is RJ's what, fourth year? Fifth year. Fourth year, right? You've been on the team this
going
year.
into
year. And you established a little bit more confidence like you did last year. And you established your spot on this team, like,
right.
This is me. I'm one of the main guys on this team. No matter who comes in here, I'm one of the main guys on this team. I think last year, RJ was still trying to figure that out too. I think this year there is no trying to figure it out. I think he knows.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I do think he'll come in more aggressive right off the bat. Like, yeah, this is my squad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I don't think his shots. I still think he's going to get enough shots. If you think about him, Brunson, and Randall, even if they score 20, that's still 60 points. So I don't think his scoring average has to go down. I think he can still be a 20-point per game scorer. But for me, it's not even about the point. We need the points, don't get me wrong. But I want to see him. If RJ on the pick and roll, guys are going under because they think he's going to drive, and he pulls up and hit that three, lights out. You know, I mean, it just adds another dimension. It just adds another dimension to his game. So that's what I want to see for free throw shooting. Yeah, but pulling off the dribble, being able to create his own shot, that changes a lot of things for him. Makes him less one dimensional, or he's either going to drive or hit the three. Now
Right.
he might pull up at the three. He might dribble in and pull up instead of going all the way to the basket. You know, it just makes him harder to guard, so to speak. Any last words?
One more thing. To all the Knicks fans out there, rally around this team. It doesn't matter if Randall is on the cover. It doesn't matter if you're seeing a million videos with Mitch, quickly taking a bunch of shots. Let's rally around this team. It's our team. If you're true Knicks fans, let's stop nitpicking about these little small, little stupid little things and just get behind the team. That's all I want to say. Let's just rally behind the team and see where we could go this year.
Peace treaty. Have peace in the valley for once.
Anybody else? Last words before we get out of here?
Stephen,
Nope.
just
Yeah.
thank you for having everybody on the show.
Yeah, great
know.
panel. I appreciate y'all for
Yeah.
showing.
Yeah.
Man, you know we was gonna show up. Don't do that, Queen. You know we're gonna be here.
Listen, you
Hey, you
never
know we're
know.
gonna be in support.
I don't take anything. I don't take anything for granted. You know, so I appreciate all of y'all from being here, and it was actually it was a great show. Training camp starts June 27th, so I would think media
27th.
day will probably be the day before that.
September.
Usually. September. What did I say? I meant September
June.
27th. I said June.
Yeah.
He's in over.
And I repeated it.
September 27th, training camp starts, and I believe media day would probably be the day before. And we have our first game October 4th. I want to say against Detroit. Let's get it. And listen, shout out to Freezy for helping me see this team. If everything goes right, could be top 6. A lot would
Top
have
5.
to go. Oh, he said top 5.
five.
A lot would have to go right, though. A lot would have to go right.
Right. But that's the case for any team that finishes in the top 5.
Any team. But if we don't gel and we don't get that chemistry, I can see the path to the play-in as not even making the play-in.
Not even the play-in.
So this team can go either way. So I'm looking forward to the season. I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle of that. Probably somewhere between 8 and 10 is what what I would say.
I think it's gonna be a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Buckle up, all aboard.
Hey, so Queen, let me just say. So I'm just say this before I get out of here real quick. Thank you for having me on the joint. You know, anytime I'm allowed to be on somebody else's panel, I'm grateful for the opportunity, especially with y'all. It's always fun to do it. I get a lot of requests. I don't always meet everybody's requests and all that stuff, and it's no disrespect to them, but I appreciate you having me on and rocking with you. But
Big bro.
remember this: if we hit 50 wins, because last year I said the team
50.
remember last year I said the team was going to win 42 games, and people almost laughed me off the internet. I mean, the year before last, I said we was going to win 42 games, and almost got laughed off the internet, and we won 41. And people were like, "Uncle Freezy, you was wrong," right? So now I'm saying we might win 50, right? So if we win 49, I understand. I understand. If we win 49, people are going to say I'm wrong again. But what I'm saying is I have faith in this roster. I think these young kids can do something if developed. If we don't ask them to be something greater than they can be as individuals, and expect the team to be greater than it normally would as a collective by being a team. I think that's how we get there. You know what I'm saying? If we expect Cam Reddish to break out and be Tracy McGrady, that don't guarantee us winning 50 games. But if everybody pull together in one direction, everybody play for each other, we might just get there.
Yes.
Let me tell you
Yes,
something.
sir.
I don't see any path to 50 without who I consider our three best players, Brunson, Randall, RJ,
And
playing
RJ.
playing lights out, because the other guys, even if they play well, I don't think they're going to get the minutes to impact the team on that level to raise our ceiling, right? I'm not saying we don't need them. We do need them. But you got to get those three guys playing well first. Then those other, the second team of the bench, whatever, playing well, I can see the
You
path.
fall in line.
But if only Brunson and Randall is playing well and RJ isn't, or Randall and RJ is playing well, I just don't see it in this stacked Eastern Conference. The margins are so slim. All
Right.
three of those guys have to be on point.
But there are margins, though. Right?
And some.
But there
and
are
some.
margins, though, right? As long as there's margins, it's room for us to. And then here's the thing, too. Just real quick, I promise this is the last thing I'm gonna say. If the Knicks have 30 wins by February or by the end of January, book 50. Because the Knicks are, under Tom Thibodeau, is a scorching hot team at the end of the season. One season we finished 16-4 in the last 20, and last year with a depleted roster, we finished 12-8 under Tibbs with Alec Burks playing point guard, right? So just expect this team to build momentum throughout the season. So if they have a high number, say like if we get to the 50 game mark and we're say 27-23 or 30-20, you can book 50 based off of Tibbs' history. So anyway, thank you for having me. I'm gonna get out of here and shut my mouth. Thank you. All right, y'all.
Shout out to the Nick of the Time show in the chat.
Appreciate you and appreciate everybody else for showing up for us. Always a pleasure. All right.
Yes, sir.